So we will hopefully go till 8:06 or 8:10, and then we'll do kirtan. That way Ben can rest. All right. So if you want, no problem.
Haribol Ben, Hare Krishna Ben.
Haribol and Hare Krishna Ben. That's very nice, Kaushik. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're here now. Again, it's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disappearance today, so we're seeking his blessings, especially so on these special days. The acharyas, they give very special blessings on these days. They give any time that you acknowledge a great soul or a great personality, they're always willing from the higher realm to give you so many blessings. That's actually why we worship the Guru, because we understand the Guru to be an intimate servant of the Supreme Lord. That's why even in let's say the Christian religion, they worship the Son of God because they believe him to be wholeheartedly a direct representative of the Father God. So same way we worship our gurus and our acharyas, like seen here, like six Goswamis. Um, so without further ado, let's glorify the gurus with some mantras that we always chant, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. If you know these mantras, please chant along. They're at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Vidaya, Krishna Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale, Namaste Bhaktisiddhanta Swamini Namite. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashadya Deshatarine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Niti Namine. All right. So again, it's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's appearance day. We're seeking his blessings. We already are experiencing his blessings because there's not a chance in hell that this would even have happened without Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. The monumental, and this is what Srila Prabhupada was talking about in his class today, the monumental achievements of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to start the first 64 Gaudiya months, which eventually led to the creation of thousands of devotees. One of them being His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami, who we now know as Srila Prabhupada here in the West. And he carried it on and opened 108 temples all across the world. But Bhaktisiddhanta's achievements are incredible, especially in a very rigid social structure in India that was very prejudiced, very much caste-centric, meaning you're born like this and this is what it is. And he challenged all of these things. Why? Because the Shastras challenged all these things, and ultimately it was being abused. So he, very, very staunch. He was called the Simha Guru. He did so much austerity. You can't even imagine the austerities that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati performed in his youth. Incredible types of austerities. And Prabhupada actually, he was remarking that he had done those austerities to spread this all over the world. And it's by the strength of his austerities that Krishna empowered him to spread this all over the world. And actually, Prabhupada, he was saying that because he's just trying to serve him, that he got empowered to spread this all over the world. Prabhupada was saying there wasn't, only by his mercy did you nice American boys come, and so on. And the rest is kind of history. The Beatles got involved, everything, and it became worldwide. But he claimed, and he was wholehearted and sincere, that it was only by the mercy of his guru and just by trying to please his guru's instruction. Of course, who is, what was Bhaktisiddhanta? He was trying to please the Acharyas Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Jagannath Das Babaji. And ultimately, who are they trying to please? Our Paramacharyas, our Guru Varga, all the way up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted this, the chanting of the Maha Mantra and the chanting of the holy names of the Lord spread to every town and village all over the world. So actually, it's incredible. If you study his life, what he did, he was very, very much controversial. You'll see this actually. We're going to read his instructions, and you're going to see, oh wow, he's not someone who is going to just speak like exactly what everyone wants to hear. He's going to speak the truth to you, and either you accept the truth or you can have a rebuttal, and he'll soundly defeat you in an argument. But it's the truth. So like this, we're going to give some of he has 108 instructions for immortality. We talked about 10 this morning before we stopped. We'll talk about another few. But what we're going to actually do is go back to these first 10. The first one was Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna's Sankirtan. All glories to the congregational chanting of Krishna's holy names. It was part of it's the end of the first verse of Shikshastakam. So this is actually the sum and substance of the whole movement is glorifying the Lord, and especially in Sankirtan, gathering in a group, glorifying the Lord, like we're doing when we chant the Mahamantra, the holy names of the Lord, like we're doing even right now when we're glorifying the pastimes and activities, qualities, names of the Lord, and so on. So this is all the Sankirtan, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. So that's the first instruction. All glories to this Krishna Sankirtan. So please participate in whatever way you can. 2, Sri Krishna is the object of all worship. He's the only enjoyer, and all others are enjoyed by him. We spend our whole lives trying to enjoy this, trying to enjoy that, and this is for my enjoyment, that's for my enjoyment. This is factually not true. God, or Krishna, is the object of all worship. Yes, Michael, make sure you take care of Kashik. Yes, so Krishna is the object of all worship, and he's the only enjoyer. All others are enjoyed by him. Everything that's happening, every circumstance that's happening, is ultimately for Krishna's enjoyment. And it's all about, it's all part of Krishna's Leela. Now, this world is called the Shrishti Leela, or the Leela of the interactions, the material modes, ups and downs, even creation, maintenance, destruction over and over and over again. but it's all ultimately for Krishna's enjoyment. So you either willingly participate and try to actively make Krishna enjoy, or you try and fight against it and he will enjoy watching you fail, which is not necessarily, it's for your benefit, actually. It's not that Krishna has some sick sense of humor. It's that actually, because when we try and selfishly become the enjoyers, we develop so many bad qualities that ultimately, yeah, we clash with all the other living entities of this universe, and we find ourselves in very difficult situations, and then ultimately, nobody's happy. But when we make the Supreme Lord enjoy, then this is the ultimate success formula. So this is the truth. He's the object of all worship, only enjoyer. All others are enjoyed by him. Do so willingly, lest, no matter what you do, it will be enjoyed by him. But watching you get the consequences of your activities may be part of the tougher lessons of this world. Unfortunately, we have to take the consequences of everything we do. 3, this one's rough. Everyone other than the devotees of Hari are fools and killers of the self. This is, he's not politically correct. He is going to tell you the truth. This is actually the truth. Unfortunately, the killer of the self, this is mentioned in the Isha Upanishad, is one who does not nourish the activities of the soul. One who does not even recognize they are a soul and are not acting from the platform of the soul, acting completely from the body or maybe the mental consciousness. So those people are actually great fools, and they're actually killing their soul. They're not actually letting their soul exist and live. Michael's father was here the other day, and we were talking about something similar. But you can't actually take a fish out of water and try and give it a nice oil massage and give it the finest foods and try and give it the nicest sex arrangement or this, that, and the other thing. Why? Because it belongs in water. It needs water to be in happiness. So similarly, you can't take us, who are spiritual beings, put us in realms of matter and give the matter of the body and the mind so many different arrangements for so-called enjoyment, when we're actually a soul. We actually are killing the soul, and we're great fools. So ultimately, what's the solution to that? Be a devotee of the Supreme Lord. This is the spiritual nourishment we're all looking for. This is the spiritual water that we fish want to jump back into, because we don't belong in this world of matter. The soul doesn't do matter properly. It does for some time, but it meets with death at every step. So anyhow, yes, it's ultimately we should understand that. We should seek out the devotees, because these are the only sane people in this vast universe. You're just looking to associate with only fools and killers of the soul, and then they'll kill your soul, because they'll encourage you to do all kinds of activities that will ultimately kill your soul. Okay, it's the duty of each resident of the month to learn tolerance. We talked about the verse from Bhagavad Gita, Matra Sparshas Tukonteya, Shitoshna Sukadukada, Agama Payino Nityas. Tans Titik Shashva Bharata, that the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, they come and go like the winter and summer seasons. And we must learn to tolerate them. And they arise from our sense perception. And the wise man, he must learn to tolerate them. Because this is nature, we're going to protest now that it's winter season? Oh, we'll protest when it's too hot in summer? No, it's just the change of the season. Why be, why be so foolish? So naturally your facilities for material happiness will go up. And then you'll reach a downtime. And then you'll reach like maybe a springtime where things like, oh, I like this one. And then it'll leave. We must learn tolerance. We must learn tolerance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually mentions this verse in number 9, but he recommends Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. One should be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. Trees let people come, climb on it, take the fruits, take their leaves, chop them down, firewood, this, that, and the other, living for the benefit of others, and people use, abuse, everything, no problem. But trees, they'll tolerate. They'll tolerate so many things. What we should not tolerate is the blasphemy of devotees and the blasphemy of the Lord, but all other things we're recommended to tolerate. So anyhow, number 5, instead of maintaining faith in their own strength, the devotees who follow in Sri Rupa's footsteps attribute all their qualities to the original source. So, the fool, they think, oh, I've got a great brain. I've got some great bodily muscles. I've got some charming looks or a way with people or this ability, that ability, and this ability. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says where that's coming from. He says he's the ability in man. So ultimately, we must rely on Krishna because it's all coming from that anyway. Even if we need to rely on some of our own skill sets, only Krishna can reveal to us how to acquire those skills. So ultimately, yes, the wise, they fully devote themselves to Krishna because he gives everything that we need. They don't try and endeavor separately for all kinds of things and all kinds of abilities. Don't maintain faith in your very limited body, your very limited mind. You maintain faith in the Supreme Lord. This is natural. This one's tough. Those who cultivate mixed religious principles cannot serve the Supreme Lord. So meaning, if you have any tinge, we talked about the verse in Yavilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. This is a very, very famous verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Prabhupada's what's called the Nectar of Devotion. Ben was reading that earlier today. Meaning that the quality of Uttam Bhakti, or pure Bhakti, or that which will allow you to serve the Supreme Lord, that which Krishna actually accepts, is there's not any tinge. One, it's always favorable. Anukulyena Krishnanu. The activities are always favorable towards Krishna. And then the second is Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam, meaning completely free of karma. Like, I want this out of it, Okay, I made this nice food offering for the Lord, and so I can't wait, I can't wait to personally enjoy that. That's something that's difficult for me, we're offering things to the Lord, but in the heart, a lot of times, like, oh, I'd like to enjoy that. So we can't actually properly serve the Lord if that tendency is there, that we want to enjoy the Lord's fruits. So ultimately, love is unmotivated, it's unconditional. So if we actually want to come to the platform of love, this is what ultimately we have to do. So, and then the other thing is not karma is the fruits of the activities. And the other thing, now these are Bhaktisiddhanta's nectar of instructions for immortality. The other thing is jnana. We can get very attached to knowledge. We can get all kinds of knowledge, and knowledge can help us relieve ourselves of so much misery. Like, for instance, you might have knowledge of how to not get sick in this world. So what are you laughing at? And so anyway, you might have some knowledge of this of not getting sick or something like this. But there's so many things out there that we can get very proud of our knowledge. We can start relying on our knowledge, and we could ultimately want to practice bhakti, because bhakti, it's the life of all knowledge. The life of all knowledge, it's like the topmost knowledge mentioned. So we can get very attracted to the miseries that we can escape from, or the liberation. This is called moksha. So, but even that, you can't actually serve the Lord from that platform as well. You have to give up your own personal motivations. One, to acquire things and fruits and enjoyments. And then two, this is called bhoga. And then two is tyaga, which is to give up all these things based on knowledge, and actually enjoy the fruits of your knowledge as well. We're not here. It's back to the first instruction, or the second instruction. Krishna's the object of all worship, and he's the only enjoyer, and all others are for his enjoyment. So ultimately, we're not going to do actual real devotional service, meaning Krishna will not accept our service until we get rid of the ideas like, okay, I will do this, but in the back of the seat of the heart, some type of tendency for enjoyment is lying there, or some type of tendency to acquire certain knowledge that you'll also use for either removal of misery or your own enjoyment as well. So many things like this. So we mentioned all these this morning. He says, all of you should serve Hari together, keeping one goal in mind. Did we skip this morning? I don't remember reading this. No, yeah, I think I must have skipped this on accident this morning. So all of you should serve Hari together, keeping one goal in mind. Meaning that, what Prabhupada was saying when he left this world, everyone should cooperate. The devotees should cooperate. It's actually, if devotees can't get together and all get on the same page, then there must be something wrong in one or both parties' devotional service. Because a devotee means they want to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. So we should all serve the Lord together. Now, that being said, there are different camps in the spiritual world. Some who like to serve one way and some who like to serve another way. And they wouldn't necessarily work together so well. But ultimately, we're all in one family. And if we are what he was saying, the followers of Rupa Goswami, we all should line up. And we all should be able to serve together. So this is he was speaking to his community. Richa, why don't you sit up on a chair? This, I don't know. It hurts. I don't want to see you in pain. Maybe some back support could help though, like a pillow or something. Like that chair looks very nice. Yes, yes, I would recommend. Um, so yes, we should cooperate and all serve together. Especially it's so rare who actually takes up to this service to Sri Hari. You're not going to find, it's not like you have so much options in the world. There are options, but especially in local spheres, there's only few devotees everywhere. So we should try and work together with the devotees. Now that being said, if there's so many levels of mixed devotees, and we're guilty of having so many anarthas or unvaluable things that mix us and don't allow us to do real beneficial service unto the Lord just yet. So if that becomes very prominent, then yes, the clashing in the material modes will overtake, and it may not be possible to cooperate if that's the case. But actually, if we are all sincere, we should all be able to cooperate and work together towards the one unified goal, which is ultimately to please the Supreme Lord. What is the most pleasing activity for the Supreme Lord? Does anyone know? It's the first. It's the first immortal instruction. Yeah, to glorify the Sankirtan movement, to spread the glories of the Lord, to help all the living entities. So actually, this was Srila Prabhupada's conclusion on his class about his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati today, that if you want his mercy, and the reason all this happened is because I just simply followed his instruction and I took it. He received instruction at 22 years old to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world in English. But he was getting married, he was working, he barely had time, he had so much of his own character development, to work on over many years. So ultimately, he was never able to take to it fully and wholly. But when his guru was passing from this world, um, he one more time wrote a letter to his guru. He didn't know he was going to pass, but he said, I'm a grahastha, I have a family, I have a wife, I have kids, I have a job, I don't have so much time to directly serve you. I try, I'm giving this amount of donation and that amount of donation, but ultimately I don't feel like I'm practically serving. What can I do to serve you? And then again, that instruction came back. And it's like, you're very educated. You should spread these things in the English language, because he was such a visionary. He saw the English language was going to become the unified world religion. So please spread it in the English language. So actually, if you want the mercy of this is what Prabhupada said at the end, and actually, and then the reason you're all successful, he was talking to his American disciples, is because you're also trying to fulfill his will. And if you want your life to be completely blessed, like Srila Prabhupada's was and so on, you try and fulfill the desires of the great acharyas. You try and fulfill actually, this mantra central project and my wife and I's involvement in it and the other devotees' involvement in it. It's a miracle that it's still running and going, and every week we have many people here throughout the week who are learning these things and studying. And the only actually thing that we can attribute the success to is because ultimately um, it's being empowered by one our acharyas. I'm reading the instructions of our acharyas. If I'm any good at what I'm doing, I'm just sharing with you what they said and what they recommend and like that. And so ultimately, yeah, it's only been by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees that this can go on. And we see when we try other things in our life, other than being a devotee of the Supreme Lord, we get very foolish and results that ultimately don't stimulate the soul. There's an actual happiness that the soul experiences, feeling that it's actually doing some tangible service. Like Prabhupada, he was feeling that, he was working, he was raising children, he was even giving some donation, but he didn't feel like he was actually contributing how he wanted. He didn't feel like his soul was fully being nourished from his service. So he asked, what can I do to be further, what can I do to actually feed my soul, to actually be of service? Because that's what the soul is craving. We're all here just to be enjoyed by Krishna. That's what the purpose of existence is. We're all here for Krishna's enjoyment, and we're part of the Leela. And either we hop in and try and actively join Krishna, or we can also become his enemy. God bless you, Kashi. And we could also become Krishna's enemies, which is no problem because Krishna gets enjoyment and the devotees get enjoyment, and watching the enemies of Krishna also get destroyed. There's all kinds of leelas of that. So don't ever make devotees your enemy. That's one thing. But also yourself become very anukulyena Krishnanu. Become very favorable. Everything should be favorable to Krishna in your life. So serve Hari together, keeping one goal in mind. A holy place is wherever topics about Lord Hari are being discussed. This is why we tell you all to come here. Why? Because this is what we do. We're discussing the topics of the Supreme Lord. This is a holy place. Not you go, let me go to the Ganga River. Let me go to the temple of Vrindavan. Let me go this, that, and the other. Krishna says, now this is Krishna in Bhagavatam, in Kurukshetra, when the great sages arrived, that he was glorifying how fortunate they all were when the sages arrived. And he said, why? Because people who go to holy places simply to take bath or to seek blessings, but ultimately don't associate with the devotees there and try and learn wholeheartedly from the devotees. Krishna says they're no better than cows or asses, meaning they're no better than animals. But ultimately, why? Because what makes a holy place a holy place? Where saints are discussing the topics of the Supreme Lord. So even in Syracuse, we can have this little house where we discuss topics under guidance from the acharyas and our mentors and gurus in our life, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so on. And this can become a holy place. Actually, if you guys know of any better holy places in the central New York area, please let us know. But as far as we've seen, this is one of the few places where these type of things are happening, which is why we're very fervently trying to carry this on and spread this and grow this, because this is actually what's going to nourish people's soul, is to discuss topics of Krishna and imbibe topics of Krishna and ultimately glorify Krishna. Everything should be Krishna's enjoyment. So anyhow, he says, we do not perform pious or sinful activities, nor are we fools or mental speculators. We are the shoe carriers of the non-duplicitous devotees of Hari and are initiated into the mantra Kirtaniya Sada Hari, which means always chant the holy names of Hari. So we're always chanting the names of the Lord. Hari, right? Hare is the most popular name. Hare. Hari means what? What? No, no. Yes, one who takes away. Yes, he takes away your consciousness, he takes away your mind, he takes away your time, he takes away anything negative in your life. All of these things. This is what Hari. We want actually the Supreme Lord to steal our material existence. Why? Because he'll leave us with what we really are, a soul, and ultimately a vessel for his enjoyment, which where you can be very infinitely happy like this. So this is what we do. Always are glorifying the Supreme Lord. Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Always chant the glories of the Lord, and especially Nam Sankirtan, chanting the names of the Lord like we do in Kirtan and so on. He's saying we don't do pious or sinful activities. Like we're not out there, we have a food program. Anyone who comes for the program, we feed them. That's very nice. But we're not here to feed you guys, even though some of you we lead you on, like, yeah, come catch a good meal. But ultimately, we're here to actually to give you the actual process, of that will actually free your soul from the murder that's being done upon the soul by the mass of foolish population who don't know what's better for them. So unfortunately, this is the case. So of course we want to feed you all, but it's only out of you could say nice etiquette so that we can ultimately share the mercy of the Lord one. It's part of the Archanam process. To offer food stuff to the Lord. It becomes the Lord's prasadam and we share it. But ultimately, so that you also have a chance to chant the glories of the Lord and to hear about the topics of the Lord. And then your life can be very much benefited like this. So, nor are we into sinful activities. Most people recognize sins are bad, but we're not into trying to do pious or sinful activities. We're only interested, nor are we fools. We don't need to read books or things like that. Or are we mental speculators where we become like great philosophers or trying to discover this thing, that thing, the other thing. Really, what's it about? We're trying to be the shoe carriers of the non-duplicitous devotees of Hari, and always chanting the holy names of the Lord. Meaning, shoe carriers are like being menial servants. This is actually the relationship of a proper shishya to a shiksha. Shiksha means instructor, and shishya means disciple. If you actually want to be a proper disciple, you should try and render all types of menial services. Oh, what can I do for you? Anything, even just let me carry your shoes. A lot of devotees, it's common, when a great soul comes, they wash their feet, things like this. What can I cook for you? What can I do for you in any which way? How can I make your accommodations better? How can I serve you in any which way? So this is actually the mood of all the stalwart devotees. And this is how they themselves eventually become qualified by the mercy of those devotees. We talked about this morning about how this guru, Bhakti Vibhuda Bodhayan Maharaj, was talking about how he served his guru in so many menial ways, and how his guru even gave him books to read. But when he was off reading the books his guru gave him, and the guru said, why are you late for service? He's like, I'm so sorry, I was reading the books you had given me. And he said, the books are for when I'm gone. I'm here now. I can give you everything I want. No, come, help me do this, that, and the other thing. We have service to do. And so just like that, he actually learned that actually the mercy of the devotee is far more powerful than what you'll learn in the books. Because you'll actually see firsthand how to apply all those things in the books. So this is ultimately what we do. We try and serve the devotees, the non-duplicitous devotees. The non-duplicitous is very important. Not meaning like, all right, I'm practicing devotional service, on the outside, but on the inside, it's because I want to increase my facilities for lust. I want to increase my facilities for wealth. I want to increase my facilities, this thing, that thing, the other thing, material things. So we want to find the most non-duplicitous or a completely pure non-duplicitous person and become their shoe carrier. That's like a goal. Shivadas. All right, Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm very happy to see you. We're talking about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's immortal instructions. All right, number 10. This one's good. Try to rectify yourself rather than blaspheming the nature or activities of others. That is my instruction. So that was Bhaktisiddhanta. It can be so easy to get into a gossiping and blaspheming train. Oh, look what this one does, or look what that one does, and look what he does and she does, and they do over there. But, really, look at what we do. What's going on with ourselves? So this is ultimately, it's obvious, right? This is, Jesus teaches this. Take the log out of your own eye before trying to take the specks out of the eyes of others. We all have so many icky qualities that we should overcome in ourselves. And once we do that, then we can maybe talk about, oh, what are you doing? But even then, why even waste our time on what others are doing? We just made the conclusion that other than the devotees of Hari, which are very few and very rare, Bhagavad Gita says this, everyone are fools and killers of the self. So you have pretty much infinite facility for gossiping and picking out all the faults of others. So why waste your time in such things? Rectify yourself. So this is an obvious instruction, number 10. And don't try not to blaspheme the nature of the activities of others. 11. Our supreme occupation is to serve the residents of Raj, who are afflicted by separation from Krishna. Now this is a little bit of Tattva and Siddhanta. We should understand one, what Braj is. It is the land of Braj. This is Krishna's pastime land. Krishna's place where dear devotees gather. I know I was saying before, just go to the places where topics of Hari are discussed. Well, ultimately, what makes Braj so special, because it's the constant meditation of those in Braj, and to really be in Braj is they're always glorifying and talking about Krishna. And this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, especially the first half of that. And even all across the 10th canto, they're always glorified for their unswerving devotion to Krishna. So we want to serve the residents of Raj, who are ultimately afflicted by separation from Krishna. So this is a little bit of Tattva Siddhanta here. When you read Bhagavatam, you'll understand this thing more. This was more obvious to the Mutt. If you join the Mutt, you would understand this a little bit more. But here in the West, we don't even know who Krishna is, let alone Braj, or we don't even, we can't even imagine doing any type of devotional service without what's in it for me type of attitude or anything like that. So, we'll eventually maybe get there. But that is some of the deeper conclusions of our acharyas. 12. An exalted devotee or a Mahabhagavat knows that all others are his spiritual masters. Therefore, an exalted Mahabhagavat is certainly Jagadguru, the spiritual master of the whole world. This is actually the conclusion of the Uddhava Gita, that we should offer our worship and our homage unto all others. Why? Because that supreme soul is within them, that Chaitya Guru is within them, and that Krishna sends all living entities to benefit us and bring us closer to him. Everyone is an expansion of Krishna. So ultimately, everyone is also the spiritual master as well. So those on a very high platform, they see this. And if they have that vision, then they could be qualified to be the spiritual master of the whole world, because they can actually reveal that to others. And this is actually this is the conclusion of the Uddhava Gita, that Krishna reveals in the 11th canto. So anyway, it seems almost contradictory, everyone is our spiritual master, but if they're not devotees of Krishna, they're great fools. We're seeing Krishna within them, and how Krishna, even if somebody is a great fool, right, and they come to us to do very foolish things in our life, they're actually teaching us if we know how to see. If we know how to see properly, so, oh, look at how this person is acting. We can have great compassion on them. We could also see, like, I should not, how am I doing that in my life? How is that same thing reflected in my own heart? We see we're all coming across so many different living entities who are acting in so many different crazy ways with us. But ultimately, yeah, this is an immortal instruction in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. If we want to attain the ultimate goal of life, we must abandon all varieties of popular opinion and hear the instructions of Vedic literature. So if you actually what's the ultimate goal of life? Does anyone know?
I would say to be happy in this moment.
To be happy in this moment. What about the next moment?
Be
I can give you some
happy
ice cream and you could be happy in this moment, but when the ice cream is gone, you might not be happy anymore.
Find happiness in the next moment.
Yeah, so it's to have everlasting happiness.
Turn any negativity into the biggest positive of your life.
Yeah, so to transform anything negative to having everlasting happiness. That's a good start. How do we think we get such a thing? Who's the source of all happiness? There's actually a better that's true, but there's a better word that explains that. You were saying
Rama.
Rama means the source of all happiness. So we approach God actually to exchange love with God. So the ultimate goal of life is called prem, to have a deep exchange or deep intimacy in love with the Supreme. This is called yoga. Yoga is to link to the Supreme. And bhakti yoga is to link to the Supreme in devotion and in love. And the fruit of bhakti yoga, you can reach a platform called prem, which is the ultimate goal of life, to be in a deep exchange of love. There's a process, a step-by-step transformation and process, how to get there. That can be explained if you do your research. We can help you do that research properly, but Prabhupada's books actually give you the foundation how to make that such advancement. But anyhow, that's the ultimate goal of life. That means we must abandon all the varieties of popular opinion, meaning what the news says, what the academics say, what your parents say, what your relatives say, what your friends say, what your spouse or significant other potentially says. It's all useless, actually. And we should hear the instructions of Vedic literature. Now, your spouse may become versed in Vedic literature, and then all of a sudden they become a portal or a pillar of reflecting Vedic literature to you, or your friends or your parents, all these things. But ultimately, we want relationships based on absolute truth, absolute knowledge, and that's what Vedic literature is. So if you aren't so well versed in Vedic literature, I'd recommend get versed in Vedic literature. Everyone can start with the sum and substance Vedic literature of the Bhagavad Gita. Very, very powerful. Gives the main essence of all of the Vedas, all in a short 700 verses. And then if you want to know concretely how to apply and live by such Vedic wisdom, then that's found in Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you want to know how to apply that in this modern age, you can actually see the example given by the Supreme Lord himself and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. And even if you want to see even more contemporary and or modern how to do so, look at our previous acharyas like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is only 100 years away from this time, giving these type of instructions. And so on. There's many wonderful devotees exemplifying this today. So we should try and follow them, become their shoe carriers. We can see if we get so lucky. But anyhow, everyone should desire the ultimate goal of life. That's another thing too, Everyone has so many assortments of desires. well, I just desire this job to go through. I just desire this love interest. I hope she likes me back, or I hope he likes me back. I just desire this, my schoolwork to be over. I desire this, that, other things, so many desires. But who here is every day meditating on, I want to achieve the ultimate goal of life. I want to actually experience love with you, God. This is, and we might not even call him God because God is a bit of an impersonal blanket name for the Supreme Lord. Maybe there's a more intimate name. Maybe there's a more intimate understanding of God. That's for sure we know what Christian is. So like this should be everyone's aim. You should desire the ultimate goal of life. 15. The Lord's intimate devotees have no desire other than to serve the lotus feet of Sri Rupa's followers. They understand that we are not qualified to just be in this deep service to the Supreme Lord, from our current state. We're a bit of in a contaminated state. So let me find the followers of those who do serve the Lord, and let me learn from them how to intimately serve. Actually, God bless Holly. We're missing Holly. But right, one of the examples I was giving is Holly had an affection for a certain musician, and I was just saying hypothetical. It'd be like, Holly, you're trying to bake cookies and send the cookies over to this person. Yes, I'm serving you, Lord. But that person may be diabetic and he may not like the cookies, or he might not have any use for the cookies. So we should learn very intimately, oh, what does this person like? How do they want to be served? And who knows how to do that? The intimate servants, which is why we follow a disciplic succession on how to actually properly serve the Lord. It's not just some concocted thing. Well, I'll serve the Lord like this today. Here, I'm going to offer this nice steak and onions or something to the Lord. Because chances are you will likely cause an offense. Like, say, if you murdered a cow or supported someone murdering a cow and offered that to the Lord. There's all kinds of religions that do that. But if you murder an animal and offer it to the Lord, yeah, maybe a certain benefit will be there because your intention is to serve the Lord, but clearly, intimately, you don't know how to really serve the Lord. So anyhow, we should have no desire other than to serve the lotus feet of the followers of the intimate servants of the Lord, or he's mentioning Sri Rupa. He's elaborating to what's called the Rupa Nugas. Rupa is one of our Goswamis in here. He wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, which Srila Prabhupada translated English, and the Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, which Prabhupada also translated in English, and many, many other great works, including the Ujjwala Nilamani, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava, and many others. So he was said to get the blessing where he knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart very deeply in it, very intimately. And he was instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write many books in revealing on how to actually properly serve him, and ultimately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show us how to serve Krishna. So we want to be followers of that instruction. And actually, when we read the Nectar of Devotion and the Nectar of Instruction, we can know exactly what that means. And we want to become the followers of the followers who know how to do that. So ultimately, that's Bhaktisiddhanta's what he's saying. The Lord's intimate devotees have no desire other than to serve the lotus feet of Sri Rupa's followers. Why? Because our main goal of life is we want to render intimate service to the Lord, or exchange Krishna Prem with the Lord. And at the same time, in order to do that, we need to know somebody who knows how to do that. Just like if you want to approach a big man, maybe it's the president or a CEO, you got to get a permission of one of his servants. There's no way you're just going to walk in off the street and I demand to see the CEO of Google. You'd be like, yeah, right. But somehow or other, if you know somebody, and in business, what do they say? It's not about what you know, it's about what? Who you know. Exactly. So same thing with the Lord. It's not about, what you know. I read this book, I read that book, and this thing. Now I'll achieve you, Lord. No, who do you know? Do you know an intimate servant of the Lord who knows very intimately how to serve him? Maybe, maybe not. This should be your goal. And Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, absolutely. We should have no other desire other than to serve the feet of one of the followers of Sri Rupa, or one of the followers, the servants of the servants. And if you don't know a servant of the Lord directly, find a servant who knows a servant and serve him. Even better. And then you'll have a much better chance. So like this. There is no way to connect ourselves with the transcendental object except by oral reception. So you must hear. You must hear. You must be open to hearing, receptive to hearing, not thinking, oh, I'll get it by myself, or my meditation practices. This isn't ultimately the Lord's way. He recommends the processes of bhakti, which starts with shravanam, hearing, and being receptive to hear. So it comes in disciplic succession through the Lord's representatives, who are actually as good as the Lord himself. That's who he sent to do these sevas and these duties. And even you, if you want your life to be successful, you try to become their representative. And that's our humble attempt here, to try to be representatives of the representatives of the Lord. And this is ultimately was Srila Prabhupada's conclusion to his disciples today in the class I listened to. He said, you should also, if you want your life to be blessed sufficiently, try and align yourself to be representatives of the Lord. You all have a sphere of influence. Maybe it's relatives, maybe it's friend groups, maybe it's coworkers, maybe it's this person, that person, the other. Who cares about their popular opinion? Oh, she's weird, or he's weird. He's talking about, devotion to God now, or something like that. No, try and help them. Understand, have compassion for them. Like, oh my God, they're murdering themselves right now. They have no access to their soul. Have compassion for them. Let me share just a little bit of something, even if it's just the name of Krishna. Like sometimes I talk on the phone with, like, say, Airbnb support, or someone from some store, some practical duty has to be accomplished. And at the end, we say all the practical duties, and at the end it's just like, all right, Hare Krishna, and I just hang up the phone. But like that's all, like they'll be Krishna, and it's not much, but at the same time it is, it's something. You just gave the name of the Lord to them. They might one day actually come across something to do with Krishna, and maybe this lifetime or 10 lifetimes down the road, maybe some benefit is there. So everyone has some way to try and represent the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord's representatives. And the simplest way is just share the holy name of the Lord, So like this. So we must hear. There's no way to connect ourselves with the transcendental object except by oral reception. We must hear about him. That's the process. So do as much hearing about the Lord as you can. The moment we have no protector, the objects around us will turn into enemies and attack us. Our only protector is Harikatha, spoken by genuine devotees. Well, that's strong. Everything around us will eventually become our enemy in this material world, except actually hearing about topics of the Lord, which is what this is, Harikatha, trying to speak about the Supreme Lord, but only by genuine devotees. So unfortunately, you don't have such a great chance here, at least hearing me speak, but you do have our acharyas. You could listen to anyone. One of the ways I'm able to even speak today is because I sat and listened to Srila Prabhupada give a lecture on his guru. There's thousands of lectures of Srila Prabhupada, thousands. And everyone wants to hear from this one, that one. Just listen, he's amazing. But it may take some angle of vision to be able to see and appreciate him for who he is, because you might not recognize him at first. I know I didn't. Even as a devotee for many years, I loved his books, but I couldn't recognize that this is what a pure devotee looks like and acts like. But now I'm just so grateful and that I can listen to Srila Prabhupada. But everyone has this opportunity. And there are many other sincere devotees you can also hear from online. If you get the good opportunity, like say I don't know, we want to invite very sincere devotees here. Would say we invite a very sincere devotee here. Try to hear from them. There should be really no other main thing in life. We have so many other, oh, well, I have a job interview. Oh, I have to arrange to make money. Or no, you should, if you have a sufficient intelligence, you actually want to drop everything to hear about the Lord. If you can. I mean, you might not, you might not be able to survive. Like, let's just say you can't tell your boss, well, I'm taking off. There's another devotee in town. You might have to plan sufficiently, or, it might be very dangerous to your life. Even though if you did do something crazy for that, I'm sure the Lord would reward you in some sense. But you do have to be practical. But you should try and mold your life in such a way that you can hear as much Harikatha as possible. So this is not my instruction. I'm not concocting. This is also Shastric. This is from the Bhagavatam. But ultimately, this is one of the immortal instructions given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Our only protector is Harikatha, and spoken by genuine devotees. It says, a person who flatters cannot become a guru or a preacher. So there's so many ideas of bridge preaching out there. So many ideas. No, don't say it like that. You'll hurt this one's feelings, or you hurt that one's feelings. No, you can't be a flatterer. I mean, you can't dance around the truth. You have to give the truth, and if they can accept it, great. If they can't accept it from where they're at, no problem. You still be nice to them. You still give them prasad, and you still hope that they eventually come back one day. But at the same time, you can't just be a flatterer. The truth is the truth, and you can't try and dress up or hide the truth. You have to give the truth, and you have to be willing to hear the truth. It doesn't have to be. There is an austerity of speech and how to say it palatably, how to say it nicely and pleasing. But ultimately, and it's how to say it in a necessary circumstance. But ultimately, you have to give the truth. So anyway, there's no preaching or no being a guru, or if you want to see, you're all probably in the position of maybe, well, who is guru? What does a guru look like? How can I find a guru? If you're not thinking like that, please think like that. This is very important. You'll know this is one of the things. The first verse of Nectar of Instruction by Rupa Goswami, which we were doing on Wednesday nights. We'll get back to it, I promise, once all these special occurrences settle down here. You'll know what a guru looks like, but they control the urges of the tongue, they control the urges of the belly, they control the urges of the genitals, they control the urges of the mind to try and enjoy the senses. They control the urges of anger, where they're not unnecessarily blowing up in anger, even when they have sufficient reason to be angry. This person is qualified to be guru. Actually, this person's qualified to make disciples all over the world. So this is, but anyhow, and it's explained further what a bona fide guru will look like and do. And if you don't have that, you should make that your mission. That's necessary for your, how to actually achieve the supreme objective of life. We have so many objectives. Make sure this arrangement is nice. I need this financial arrangement. I need this comfort arrangement. I need this thing, that thing, and the other thing. The main priority should be, how can I get closer to the supreme objective? How can I actually render service and love to the Supreme Lord? Who can I meet that will actually bring me closer to that? Who can I hear from? That should be the main emphasis. So anyhow, Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, 19, it is better to live as a bird, animal, ant, or other insect than to cheat. Only a person devoid of the propensity to cheat attains auspiciousness. So very heavy. Better to be a lower species of life than to become a cheater. And there's so many ways. It's one of the tendencies, the four main tendencies of the living entities in this world is we like to cheat. We have the tendency to cheat. For instance, in business, it's an acceptable practice to cheat. You tell, oh, we have like some crazy sale here, or you mark up the price and then you put a sale on it, and it's like maybe it's even higher than before. But this tendency is it's very duplicitous. So we have to, we have this tendency, and it must be worked on. And I wish I could tell you, yes, I'm free from cheating. I hope one day I can be free from cheating. Um, well, why don't you read it? Okay, one of our dear friends, very nice devotee, Shilanarayan Maharaj, she quoted from Bhaktisiddhanta. Cheating and weakness are two separate things. Persons devoid of a cheating propensity achieve perfection in life, but a cheater is never successful. Vaishnavism is another name for simplicity. Cheaters are non-devotees. Sincere persons can be weak, but they are not cheaters. Cheaters say something but do something else. Weak people are embarrassed by their defects, whereas cheaters are maddened by their achievements. I will cheat the acharya, I will deceive the doctor, I will nourish the poisonous snake of my sinful propensity with banana and milk, hiding him in the hole of my cheating propensity, and I will demand name and fame from the people while posing as a saint. These are not symptoms of weakness, but of utter deceitfulness. Such cheaters will never achieve any good. By hearing humbly from saints with a sincere attitude, however, one will gradually attain auspiciousness. After accepting Tridandi Sannyas, if one remains busy with worldly activities, thinking that family life is more important than spiritual life, or maintaining the sinful mentality of kidnapping Sita from Ram, as Ravan did even while dressed as a devotee, then one is a self-killer. We are far from the worship of Hari. Even if we have weakness and have enough anarthas to last us for millions of years, we are not as misfortunate as if we possessed a cheating propensity. It is better to take birth as animals or birds than to take shelter of cheating. So that is the expansion of that. We somehow, uh, you know, we can be weak, but if we say one thing, but in the heart we do another thing, we're in very big trouble. We actually go better that we immediately go take a birth as some other lower animal, because we're duplicitous and we can never achieve success this way. It's simplicity is said to be the quality of Vaishnavism. Of real service to the Lord comes in simplicity. So we have to try and learn. Hopefully we can find somebody who's beyond the cheating propensity, and we can hear from such a person. That should be all of our goal. I wish I could tell you, yes, I'm free from cheating. No. So please, but these acharyas we have on our altar, I believe wholeheartedly to be free from cheating, and to be very simple and prime examples of who we can learn from. So, which is why we're sharing their teachings. Vaishnavism is another name for simplicity. The servants of swan-like Vaishnavas are simple-hearted. That is why they are the best of Brahmanas. The Vaishnavas, who are simple devotees for the Lord, they serve the other swan-like Vaishnavas who are simple-hearted. And ultimately, they're the best of Brahmanas. They're the most qualified of the Varnashram top tier, which is the Brahmin. So maybe we'll do one or two more. It is the first duty of the most compassionate souls to divert the wretched taste of the living entities. It is more beneficial to save even one soul from Mahamaya's prison house than to open millions of hospitals. So, back to, we're not here to try and heal people of their sickness. We're not here to try and give them all kinds of pious food. Oh, let me build wells or do all kinds of really pious things for the population, hospitals, heal. Ultimately, it's the duty of the compassionate souls to divert the wretched taste of the living entities. So it's uncomfortable to tell them, hey, you're eating stool. Stop eating stool, please. There's something better. And they will not like you to tell them, no, I like my stool. Leave me alone. And but ultimately, we have to, if we're compassionate to them, we have to try and help them. We can't just let them continue to eat stool and think that this is some gourmet scenario. So unfortunately, we cheat, because it's like, well, they won't bother me if I just leave them alone. But if we're actually compassionate, if we actually have real love for the other living entities, we'll try and help them. Some people, it's just not going to be able to happen. Most people, you're like, all right, not in this life, but I'll still try. Here's some prasad, here's the Maha Mantra, or just keep going along. All right, see you later. And in the background, Hare Krishna is playing or something. But at the same time, we should at least try with the souls. So even if you save one soul from Mahamaya's prison house, or the illusory idea that you're going to enjoy this material world, even if you save one soul from that, that's better than opening millions upon millions of hospitals. So what is our Kochik, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is our priority? We put so much time and energy and priorities into so many things. But if we really want to please the Vaishnavas, this is one of the ways is to help the fallen conditioned souls of this world. The association of those who have not developed their propensity to serve the Supreme Lord is never desirable, even if it appears most pleasing. So unless somebody has developed the urge to do some type of service unto the Lord, they're not good association for us. And that's unpalatable to hear, because you're like, what about my relatives? And what about my friend group? And what about this person, that person, and the other thing? No. Even if it appears most pleasing, even if like for Christmas, we're going to go visit many relatives, and many people are going to give us gifts. It's pleasing to receive gifts. And even in one sense, by them serving us, we see it as we can use that for the Supreme Lord's service. But unless they actually have developed a deep desire to serve the Lord, they're not good association for us. So we should actually minimize the activities. Ultimately for our well-being. It's never desirable. So this is just a cold hard truth. 23, preaching without practicing what one preaches is a limb of karma. So it's not bhakti at all, is what he's saying. It's if you're preaching, trying to help others, but ultimately you can't follow or practice what you're preaching. It's on the platform of karma, or just doing activities that will get reactions of this world. But it's not actually service. One has to become acharya. Krishna tells Arjuna to be an acharya, and there's a verse, I don't remember the Sanskrit, but it is, what great men do, common men follow. That's the essence. So basically, you have to lead by example. If you can't do it, then you have no business telling anyone else to also not do it. Like there's the story of the woman who goes to the saintly man, and she says, my son is eating too many sweets. Please tell him to stop eating so many sweets. And the saintly man, he says, come back in 2 weeks, and I will tell him just like this. So she listens and comes back 2 weeks later. And again, so please, sir, please tell my son to stop eating so many sweets. And then he says, son, please stop eating sweets. It's not good for you, and so on. Thanks. So he says, okay, Baba, yes, Hare Krishna. But ultimately, she asked him, well, why did I have to wait 2 weeks for that? And he's like, well, 2 weeks ago, I was eating sweets. So I had to stop eating sweets, and then I could tell him to stop eating sweets. So like this. 24. Our attachment for material life will decrease when we simply serve the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So this is the process. If you're, having so many attachments, or say weaknesses of the heart, I'm so lusty, I'm so I want wealth, I want this thing, I have so many material desires. The secret is try and serve the Lord, and then try and serve the Lord's devotees. And then naturally these things will all decrease. Um, I've seen, practically speaking, with myself and my wife, trying to be engaged in service. It's amazing how we even a few years ago, and just by doing service and trying to do these two things, how it's worked in our life. But I've also seen with many of you, especially those who are here day in and day out, very intimately serving, how these things are dropping away, and you're really changing and growing as people by taking up to this process. So I've seen this work both ways in both my own life, my wife's life, and also many of you. So keep going like that. Yes. Yes, I'm glad you did. Last one. Our main disease is to accumulate objects not related to Krishna. So, whatever you're chasing in this world, jobs, money, this thing, that thing, the other thing, enjoyment in this way and that way, if you can't figure out a way to offer it to Krishna, this is part of the disease. And the way to get out of the disease condition is to try and offer everything you do to Krishna in some way or another. Whether even you just work a job and you earn some money and it seems like it might be mundane, or it seems like it's not ideal, that it's not filled with Hari Katha and so many things. No problem. Even Prabhupada did that for many years. He worked as a pharmacist. And but ultimately, eventually he left that service for a more intensive service. But for many years he served that way. And that helped him to grow and prepare him. And he kept studying and he kept hearing and he kept serving the devotees in whatever capacity he could. And then eventually he was able to do something marvelous with his service. So we all actually have this potential. So anyhow, that is my humble presentation on some of the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta. I wouldn't recommend everyone's got to get this book. I'd recommend, if you really want to understand these conclusions, see how His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, a very dear disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, spread this all over the world and infused all these teachings in his books. And he was following only wholeheartedly his guru. And that's what he claims is the only way he did what he did. So if you want that mercy, Prabhupada is giving through all of his books. So just keep doing what you're doing and what we're humbly trying to instruct everyone to do out of compassion for you guys and on ourselves as well. So again, Holly is in difficult condition. If we can offer some of our chanting. Kashik, it's time to do more chanting again. Kashik, time to do chanting. Okay, where's your shaker? Yes, time to get the shaker. All right, so thank you who joined online. I'll end the Zoom, and yeah, we'll all chant again. I don't think we'll do a bhajan. I think we'll just chant Hare Krishna. Or maybe Jaya Radha. We did a bhajan this morning. We did the Guru Parampara bhajan.